Welcome back. University of Glasgow is with us now. We have Mark Stansfield, Senior International Officer from the University of Glasgow. Welcome, Mark. And you can start your session now. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Semra. Thank you for that introduction. So yes, hello everyone, good afternoon. I'm Mark Stansfield, the Senior International Officer for Europe and Central Asia here at Glasgow. I'm also pleased to say that I'm joined today by a very new colleague. So my colleague Scott Clapperton just started 2 days ago at the University of Glasgow, and he'll be our new International Officer for Europe. So Scott's along today just to kind of listen in to me. And we'll be happy to kind of take any questions or anything that you might have at the end. So thanks very much for joining us. So I just wanted to kick off today's presentation by giving a little bit of an overview of the University of Glasgow for those of you that aren't familiar with us. So Glasgow is one of the ancient universities of the UK. So we were founded back in 1451. So as you may know, there are 6 ancient universities in the UK. So you have Oxford and Cambridge in England, and then you have Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen and St Andrews in Scotland. So Glasgow was established back in 1451. Couple of other things I wanted to highlight just to kick things off is that we are very proud of our employability rating that we have at Glasgow. So just shy of 96% of our graduates are in full-time study or further study or full-time employment within 6 months of graduating. So that's something that we've kind of working and continue to work very hard on as a university in terms of engaging with industry, in terms of offering internship opportunities and making sure that our programs are creating graduates that are ready to go out into the world of work. And one other thing just to mention is that we also have a 4-year degree system in Scotland. Now, again, councillors present may already be aware of that, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that means later in the presentation. But just to highlight that it does distinguish us a little bit from our partner universities in England and other parts of the UK, in that just the kind of structure of our undergraduate programmes are a little bit different in Scotland. So a little bit more scene setting about Glasgow. So in terms of our rankings, so we are one of the world's top 100 universities, according to both the Times Higher Education and QS World Rankings that placed us 77th in the world this year. We were also awarded the Times Higher Education University of the Year award last year, which is something that we're very proud of as a university as well. We are a relatively large university in UK terms, so we have this year over 30,000 students from 140 different countries studying with us. So a very, very international institution, a very vibrant campus with students from all over the world choosing to study with us at Glasgow. We are also a Russell Group university, so we're a founding member of the Russell Group, so that group of 24 research-intensive universities in the UK. And again, you're probably familiar with the Russell Group, but I guess the question I often get from prospective undergraduate students is, well, why does that matter? What is the Russell Group? Why does that matter? And, I think I attempt to answer by saying that, students are being taught by some of the world leading academics that are carrying out world leading research, and that informs what we teach at every level, including at undergraduate level as well, and future career prospects and things. Russell Group graduates tend to a higher percentage of those go into full-time employment, and their starting salaries tend to be higher than non-Russell Group universities as well. And then kind of final ranking, we are 12th in the UK overall, according to The Guardian. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about rankings, but just very quickly, I did want to, before I move on, just pull out some of the subject areas that we are particularly well known for. So according to the Complete University Guide, you can see here some of the areas that we are kind of particularly well ranked for. So nursing, dentistry, veterinary medicine, medicine, go kind of first or top 3 in the UK, accounting and finance, education, we're first in the UK and third for law. Some of our arts-related programmes do very well as well in terms of film and TV studies and modern languages. And we also have the oldest engineering school in the UK, and you can see there the list of programmes that we are kind of top 10 for in our College of Science and Engineering. So yeah, a kind of interesting mix, and just kind of gives you a bit of a flavour of some of the subjects that we are kind of particularly well known for. Just to dip back a little bit in terms of reflecting on the kind of close to 600 years that we've been in existence, I just wanted to talk a little bit quickly about some of the notable alumni that we have at Glasgow. So Adam Smith, the kind of founder of modern economics and the author of The Wealth of Nations, was a student and professor at the University of Glasgow. And our business school, our triple accredited Adam Smith Business School, is named after him. We also have James Watt, who was a kind of key figure in the Industrial Revolution. Lord Kelvin, probably the preeminent scientist of the 19th century, was a professor at Glasgow as well. John Logie Baird, who invented the television, passed through Glasgow's gates as well. Joseph Black, for any chemists in the room, and we've had 7 Nobel laureates and prize winners that have association with the university. But beyond that, some other things. The first ultrasound of an unborn fetus was developed at Glasgow. The use of antiseptic in surgery was developed by Joseph Lister during his time at university. The first IVF clinic was pioneered by Robert Edwards at Glasgow as well. So just giving you and your students a flavour of the kind of influence that Glasgow's had on the world, and the influence that we continue to have this day today as we look forward to recruiting our kind of next group of kind of world-changing students. Quick couple of slides on Scotland and Glasgow now. So as you can all probably tell from my accent, I'm very much a biased source. I'm Scottish. I'm from Glasgow. I've lived there for most of my life. Glasgow was voted Scotland was voted the most beautiful country in the world by Rough Guides back in 2019. So you don't have to take my biased word for it. The image you can see in the background of the slide here is Ben Ann, which is a hill which is about an hour from Glasgow. So just kind of, I think Scotland's known for its kind of beauty, its lovely landscapes, and that's something that students are able to enjoy in their spare time away from their studies. So much to get involved in terms of outdoor activities. Scotland's kind of famed for its culture as well. Lots of museums, art galleries in Glasgow and in other cities in Scotland. Lots of festivals that take place, including in Edinburgh, the largest cultural festival, the International Fringe Festival, takes place in Edinburgh in August every year, at least in kind of pre-pandemic times and hopefully post-pandemic times that we're getting closer to. And lots of history in Scotland as well, some fantastic architecture, kind of world famous, landscapes and feats of engineering and things. So lots for students to kind of get involved in as well. Scotland, I guess it's always important to kind of say as well, is not a huge country. Our total population, I think, is about 5.5 million. Which is often a bit of a shock to students, particularly those coming from Istanbul, who are used to living in such a huge kind of mega city, and find that the total population of the country of Scotland is only 5.5 million. But I think so much to do within the country. Glasgow is Scotland's biggest city, so Edinburgh is the capital. But Glasgow's the biggest city by population, and you're only about a 50 minute train journey between the two cities, so it's really easy to kind of get back and forth between them. Glasgow for the last 2 years has been named the world's friendliest city by Rough Guides. And in all fairness, that is feedback that we always get from our students. So we do focus groups and we speak to international students and we ask them about their experience in Glasgow and in Scotland and at the university. And I think that's something that always comes through as the warm welcome that they've received in Scotland. Scotland's a very welcoming place, a very open and tolerant society. Glasgow's a very multicultural city. The university, as I mentioned, we've got students from over 140 different countries. So, I think your students are guaranteed a friendly and warm welcome when they arrive in Glasgow. Another thing I'm asked about is the accent and the weather. we can't do anything about the weather, unfortunately. As you can see behind me, we do get sunshine and blue skies from time to time. It never gets very warm and it never gets very cold in Glasgow. It's often wet, but provided students bring some rain jackets and umbrellas, they'll be fine. In terms of the accent, again, students will get used to it. And as a very international university, they will be being taught not necessarily by academics from Scotland, but yeah, again, something that they'll pick up pretty quickly. We're the fourth largest city in the UK, behind London, Birmingham, and Manchester. Glasgow's a very green city, so despite being a kind of post-industrial shipbuilding city, it's a beautiful city as well. So we have over 90 kind of public parks and green spaces that students can enjoy. And we're also a UNESCO City of Music. So again, pre-pandemic, there were over 120 live music concerts happening in Glasgow every week. So if any students are particularly interested in music and that side of things, Glasgow's a fantastic city to be in. The university is based in the west end of the city, so around a 30-minute walk or about a 15-minute journey on the underground from campus into the city centre. But the west end's lovely, a nice green part of the city with museums and parks, cafes and little shops and things. So the university is a really nice part of the city. And yeah, easy to get around. As I mentioned, it's a pretty compact city. The total population of Glasgow is about 550,000 people, so about just over 500,000. So not a huge sprawling metropolis, but equally enough happening. Good culture, good nightlife, and lots for students to kind of do in their downtime when they're not studying or in the library. So this is an aerial shot of our campus. I'm just going to pull out some of the kind of main buildings. So this is the Sir Gilbert Scott building, which kind of dominates the Glasgow skyline. As you can see behind me, kind of generally wherever you are in Glasgow, you're normally able to kind of see the tower of the university building. We haven't always been in the part of the city that we're in now. When we were first founded in 1451, we were actually in the city centre, but we moved to Gilmore Hill campus back in the kind of late 1800s, and we've been on this site ever since. Other kind of prominent areas to point out: the library, 13th floor library with over 2 million books, and we also have 3 museums on campus. But this just gives you an idea that we're a city-based campus, but everything is within walking distance. To get from the medical school to the School of Engineering to the business school, a sort of 10-minute walk gets you from one side of campus to the other. And also just wanted to mention it's a really exciting time for students to be thinking about joining Glasgow, as we're undergoing a real major kind of campus transformation. And it's something we're incredibly excited about here at Glasgow, because we're going to be able to really blend the old and the new, which we do already. But we have the beautiful tower, we have the kind of Hogwarts-esque campus, but we're also going to have probably one of the most developed campuses in Europe in the coming years. So we're investing £1 billion in building brand new buildings. And this has come about via land that the university owned and had bequeathed to the NHS. So there used to be a hospital on this site. That hospital shut a couple of years ago, and the university is now able to expand and build new buildings right next to where the existing campus is. And that's a really exciting opportunity that I think not many city-based and certainly not many ancient universities have the option to do that. If they do expand, it's normally at a satellite campus somewhere outside of the city. So we're incredibly excited about it. We're going to have a brand new business school. We're going to have a brand new School of Engineering. We are going to have new interdisciplinary space where we'll be working in partnership with industry, areas for research and things as well. So yeah, lots of kind of exciting things that are happening in the coming years, and real cutting edge kind of study spaces and technology that we'll be using as well. So on to talk a little bit about Glasgow's relationship with Turkey in particular. So we have a long established relationship, and we welcomed our first Turkish students to study with us back in the late 18th century. Currently today we have around just shy of 60 Turkish students studying with us, and that's across undergraduate level, but also at master's and PhD level as well. We have a partnership with Bilkent University in Ankara, where I think it's our School of Social and Political Sciences have a kind of exchange agreements where Beal Kent students come to Glasgow and vice versa. And also just to highlight that there is a kind of association of Turkish alumni and students in Scotland, so ATAS. So they organise events, they organise kind of career advice activity for students. So just to highlight that is something that any Turkish student studying at the majority of Scottish universities would kind of have access to. So a nice little community and a nice opportunity to be kind of thinking, about networking opportunities and future careers. And also just to highlight that we also have the University of Glasgow Turkish Society as well. So they organise things like breakfasts, welcomes at the start of term for students, farewell parties when students are due to leave and have finished their studies. So I think just important to kind of note that, that community exists if students want it. I know often parents are perhaps concerned about, students moving away so far from home for the first time. So just to highlight that there is a really nice network of students here that are very active in our campus community and that would be very, welcoming to students if they were interested in joining that society. Now, on to talking a little bit about our degree programmes at Glasgow. Being one of the large UK ancient universities, we have a very, very wide range of programmes that we offer at Glasgow. So we offer over 100 different programmes at undergraduate level. And when looking at kind of joint degrees and things, we offer over kind of 600 programme combinations as well. So lots of flexibility, lots of breadth of study available for students who are thinking about studying at Glasgow. As I touched upon earlier, our standard degrees are 4 years in length, and what that kind of means is sort of breadth and flexibility, and I'll kind of flesh out an example of that and what that means in the early stages in the next few slides. It's always been a 4-year system here in Scotland. It's the system that many other countries have kind of adopted and adapted. So, for example, in the US for major and minor subjects, that's kind of derived initially from the Scottish system. But just to kind of contradict everything I've just said, that for some students we do also offer a 3-year kind of faster route or direct kind of advanced entry. Generally, that would tend to be for students who are doing A-levels or the IB rather than the Turkish high school diploma, and I will talk about our entry requirements in a few slides' time. But we do offer that opportunity for students who are high achieving to come in and do the degree in 3 years rather than in 4, which brings us back in line with some of the institutions in England and elsewhere. And we also offer a number of kind of professional and flexible degrees, as I'll talk about in a minute or two. So we're a collegiate structure at Glasgow. So we have 4 colleges. We have the College of Arts and Humanities. We have our College of Medical, Veterinary and Life Sciences, Science and Engineering, and Social Sciences as well, which also includes our Adam Smith Business School that I mentioned previously. You'll all be pleased to hear that I'm not going to take you through all 100 programs that we offer, but this gives you a kind of broad kind of idea of the areas that we do offer at Glasgow. Sorry about that. You can possibly hear my newborn baby having a bit of a meltdown in the background. Sorry about that. The joys of working and presenting from home. But yeah, so this gives you an idea of the kind of subject areas that we offer at Glasgow. So everything across the kind of arts, humanities and languages. Kind of one thing just to mention that we don't offer is anything around kind of fine art or illustration. There's another art school in Glasgow, the Glasgow School of Art, that kind of very much specialise in that area. So that's the one kind of big thing that we don't do. Kind of architecture being the other one. We do offer a programme in civil engineering with architecture, and that's delivered jointly with the Glasgow School of Art. We teach the civil engineering and they teach the architecture. So those are the kind of main areas I would say that we don't really offer at Glasgow. But beyond that, everything related to business and management, economics, finance, accounting, computing science, software engineering, education, a whole suite of engineering programmes across mechanical, civil, product design engineering, aeronautical, aerospace systems, so a whole broad range in that area. We offer law. Just to highlight 2 law programs, Scots Law and common law. Now that's because, as you may know, we have a separate legal system here in Scotland, so we teach both Scots law and also common law. And I would say probably the most international students would choose the common law option, because that would allow them to practice as a lawyer in a number of other countries. Scots law is very much focused on Scotland. Medicine, dentistry, nursing, politics, international relations, psychology, sciences across chemistry, physics, astrophysics, a whole suite of biological related science programs, biochemistry, neuroscience, marine biology, and then veterinary sciences, zoology and veterinary medicine as well. So that gives you a flavour of our broad offering at Glasgow. So now kind of moving on, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more in detail about what this 4-year degree system means in practice. And again, apologies if you're familiar with this from other Scottish universities, but I always think it's probably quite worthwhile kind of teasing out exactly what it means, because students often maybe don't know. So this is an example of a Bachelor of Science honours degree programme. So in this example, this student has applied to study physics at Glasgow. So in year 1, you choose 3 subjects. So the students would have the opportunity to choose 2 other subjects in their first year. So in this example, the student has chosen to study chemistry and astronomy alongside physics. At the end of year 1, they have the opportunity to carry on with those subjects or to change as well. So in this example, the student has decided to drop astronomy and will be looking at picking up something else, but has decided to take chemistry forward with physics. And then year 3 or junior honours, that's when students decide whether they want to only carry forward one subject or whether they want to do a joint degree and graduate with a dual honours. So in this example, the student has decided, no, physics is the one for me, and they're focusing on a single honours degree in physics. So that gives you a little bit of a flavour. In the first couple of years, students just have to pass the outside subjects that they've taken. So that's not going to impact their final degree classification. So that's something that I think students often worry about, is that what if I pick something and I regret it and I find it really difficult, or I just don't like it? Provided they pass, they can then change the next year and make sure that they're not picking that subject again. So to give another example, this time in the kind of Bachelor of Arts related area, you'll see there that says MA. That's just to confuse everyone. The ancient universities of the UK are able to call their BAs MAs. So it's not actually a master's, it's just a bachelor's, but for some reason the ancient universities call them MAs, so just to confuse everyone. So in this example, the student has applied to study business and management and Spanish, so a joint honours degree. They're picking a third subject, so in the first year they've picked history. For whatever reason, they've decided they don't like that, or they want to try something else. In year 2, they pick music. And then in years 3 and 4, they've decided to pursue a joint honours degree in business management with Spanish. And just to highlight that in year 3, that would be the semester or year abroad. So for language students, that's mandatory, either to go to Spain or Latin America or another Spanish-speaking country. But for other subjects as well, there would be the opportunity for your students to get that double international experience of studying in the UK and in Scotland, but also perhaps doing a semester or a year at one of our partners. And we have some fantastic partners across the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and also across Europe. Now, that's kind of remains to be seen what's going to happen with that. We are continuing our relationship with our existing partners, but as a result of Brexit, the UK government have decided that we are no longer a part of the Erasmus programme, so that will be coming to an end at the end of this cycle. So, but we are keen to continue to be making sure that we're offering students the opportunity to go overseas, and the UK government is bringing in a Turing scheme. So just to highlight that for any of your students who might be looking for that double international experience, that will very much still be possible. So as I mentioned, opportunities inside Europe or outside of Europe. No, this doesn't add on any extra time to the degree. It's normally always done in year 3, unless students are studying a language where it can be an additional year. Most of our partners teach in English as well, and generally there's no additional fees or anything involved. It's a reciprocal agreement. So again, something that is often of interest to students. So now moving on a little bit to talk more about our entry requirements specifically at Glasgow, and then I've got a couple more things to say, and then you'll be glad to hear that I'll probably finish up and happy to take some questions. So in terms of our entry requirements, so we do welcome applications for direct entry from students who are studying the Turkish High School Diploma. Requirements can vary slightly from programme to programme, but generally speaking, we're normally looking for a minimum overall score of 75%. Is normally the kind of minimum that we would be looking for. For some subjects, we have a slightly higher requirement, so might be creeping up towards kind of closer to 80%. And generally, we would need students to have 75% in any key subjects. So obviously, as you'll know, students thinking about engineering, we would need the kind of maths and a science at least 75% for most programmes. A-levels vary slightly. Anything from an A and 2Bs up to 3As would generally be what we'd be looking for any students who are doing A-levels. And again, the IB also varies. I would say on average, most programmes we're probably looking for between 34 to 36 points. But for some, we can consider 32. And for others, such as medicine and law and other things, we are looking for 38 points generally in the IB. But on each of the programme web pages, there's more detailed information that students can have a look at, the specific requirements for individual subjects that they might be interested in. The second area to highlight is just that for any students who don't achieve that those entry requirements, but are thinking about Glasgow, just to highlight that we do work with Glasgow International College, so there is the opportunity for students to come in and do a foundation year, perhaps also get some extra support around English language if they need it. So we have two pathways. We have one in business and social sciences and another in science and engineering. So not all subjects have a route via the foundation year. And also just important to mention that the degree will still be 4 years. So the foundation year at Glasgow International College just replaces year one of the studies. So it doesn't make it 5 years. It continues to be 4 years. And in that case, actually kind of brings us in line with any students who are doing a foundation year in England, which normally makes that degree 4 years as well. So just important to mention. But I appreciate most students would probably be coming for direct entry straight into Glasgow. Won't spend too much time on this because as counsellors you'll know this inside out, but just to highlight that UCAS would be how most students would choose to apply, but just to highlight that we do also accept applications via the Common App at Glasgow as well. But as you'll probably know, it's one or the other. So it isn't a workaround for students to kind of get past the five institution or 5 application limit via UCAS. But if you do have students who are also thinking about the US, it's just worth letting them know that they can apply via Common App to Glasgow if they want to. Again, you'll all be familiar with this, but just to highlight that obviously we do offer medicine, dentistry and veterinary medicine at Glasgow, so it does have that earlier 15th of October deadline. As you'll all know, the equal consideration deadline is the 15th of January, but realistically we will continue to welcome applications from international students right up until the 30th of June. This year, some programmes have been particularly popular and might close early, so one example being computing science. So as you'll know, the general advice is kind of the earlier the better, but just to highlight that, we are, still open to applications. So moving on now to talk a little bit about tuition fees. So I've pulled out the kind of key ones here on the slide. For the majority of programmes, you're looking at somewhere between £19,000 and £23,000 for the vast majority of our programmes here at Glasgow. So our arts, humanities and social science programmes are £19,350 per year. Our science, life science, engineering and nursing programmes are £23,000 per year. And as you'll all probably be aware as well, there is a kind of additional charge for any of the kind of clinical programmes. So veterinary medicine is £32,000 per year, dentistry £46,950, and medicine £49,950. And just the kind of fees towards the NHS kind of clinical placements and aspects related to the dentistry and medicine programme kind of explains the pretty high fee in those areas. Students can pay their fees in instalments, up to 7 for undergraduate students. So there is the opportunity that those fees don't need to be paid up front. And we do offer a number of scholarships at undergraduate level for students. The main one really for international students would be our International Undergraduate Excellence Scholarship. So this is awarded as a tuition fee discount. And it's an award of £5,000 per year of study. So provided the students progress from year 1 to year 2, year 2 to year 3, etc., they will automatically be allocated this £5,000 discount each year of study. So the total award being £20,000. And in some cases, working out at roughly 1 year of study. So again, kind of perhaps bringing us a little bit more in line with institutions offering a 3-year programme. It says here we have 100 scholarships available. Realistically, we have more than that. Any student who meets the criteria will be offered one of these scholarships, and they're based on academic merit. So we're looking at kind of students' grade performance, so whether that be an A-level, IB, or in the Turkish high school diploma. Realistically, I think any students who are achieving kind of 90% or above would probably be eligible for one of these awards. There isn't a separate application. So students are kind of considered automatically at the point of application, whether that be based upon kind of predicted grades that you might have made as part of their application. But you're welcome to get in touch with me, or students that you might have that are interested in Glasgow would be very welcome to get in touch with me if they wanted any more information about it. I've put the scholarship web link there on the slide, so there's a lot more detail on the web page about kind of what the offering is and things like that. But that is kind of one form of kind of financial support that your students, high achieving, strong academically based students would possibly be able to take advantage of at Glasgow. I now wanted to talk a little bit about living expenses. I mean, I'm acutely aware of the kind of challenges that students face and families face at the moment with regards to the kind of value of the lira against the pound. I know it's been a challenging time, for a little while, made worse by the pandemic over the last 12 months or so. So for full kind of disclosure, to kind of pull out a little bit about the kind of cost of living in Glasgow. What I would say is that it's kind of typically lower than other big cities in the UK. I think particularly London. I think it's safe to say that Glasgow is a far cheaper option than London, but realistically also probably than Birmingham, Manchester, even Edinburgh, some of the other larger cities in the UK. Now, this is a very rough guide that we've worked on with current students. This is by no means exact, or no means something that students can kind of take as read, but it gives a little bit of an idea of kind of what our current students are spending roughly per month. So we say around £1,000 to cover everything. Now, the biggest expense for students, as you'll know, will be accommodation. And I'll talk a little bit about our offering and accommodation just before I finish up. On average, you're probably looking at between £500, £550 per month. Then the rest kind of depends on the individual. So food, £180 per month. I think if students can cook themselves, they could probably bring that down a little bit. Equally, if they're eating out or getting takeaways every night, then that's probably going to be more expensive than that. Clothes, £70 per month. I'm not sure that that's necessary, but that's just something that we've put in with students. Travel, again, kind of depends on how much they're wanting to explore Scotland. As I mentioned, Glasgow's a compact city. It's really easy to get around. All but one of our accommodation residences are within walking distance of the campus. Also, many students choose to use the kind of mixed bike, city bikes, that the first 30 minutes are free. So generally, most students can get from their residence to campus and not have to pay using one of the rental bikes. Entertainment, again, if students are going to be doing a lot of things and going a lot of places, then yes, they will be spending more money. But anyway, this gives you a flavour, or students a flavour of kind of what they can be expecting to kind of spend if they come to Glasgow. Final couple of slides you'll be glad to hear. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the student experience. Now, I know most UK universities will offer these things, and it will be familiar to you, so I don't want to labour the point too much, but I just do want to highlight that despite being quite a large, ancient, prestigious university, I think at Glasgow we are really proud of the level of support that we give our students, and it is something that always really kind of comes through. So I think in the last round of the National Student Survey, we were ranked second in the Russell Group for student satisfaction for the student experience and support that they get. So it's something that we're serious about at Glasgow, and I think it's become particularly prominent over the past 12 months or 18 months of the pandemic in terms of the support that we've offered students who are here, who travelled to Glasgow last year to begin their studies. So, we're busy working hard to kind of get plans in place for the forthcoming academic year. With regards to COVID, I mean, I think we're still waiting for a little bit of detail from the Scottish Government. I think it's realistic to think that there will be a hybrid approach for the forthcoming year in terms of as much on-campus activity as we can, but realistically, I think large lectures and things will remain online for the foreseeable future. But campus is open again, and we are, hoping that we'll be able to have some more small teaching classes, peer-to-peer engagement, meeting with academics and supervisors on campus this year. But we will be updating applicants and students on our website and via email, and we're keen to be continuing to kind of, offer the type of support that we're known for at Glasgow. So we have support in terms of accommodation, where we have senior students and pastoral staff based in each of the residences. We have a dedicated international student support team that students can, access before they arrive if they have any questions, if they need any help around visas. I can also help with that, but we do have a dedicated visa compliance support team who are probably best placed to give student advice around the visa application process. As you would expect, we have a disability service to provide support for students who perhaps need any additional support with their studies. We have a strong career service at Glasgow. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning of my presentation, we've been doing a lot of work in this area to make sure that we are really, kind of engaging with industry, because of our ranking and reputation. Big organisations to small startups actively come to recruit Glasgow students, and of course now we're pleased that finally the kind of reintroduction of the post-study work visa has been introduced. So if any of your students are thinking about wanting to remain in the UK after their undergraduate studies, that's now becoming easier than it was for them to remain for up to 2 years to find work after they finish their studies. But lots of internship opportunities, lots of careers fairs, lots of chances for students to really network and kind of help them prepare for future employment after they finish their studies, and a counselling service as well for any students who might need any additional support or help during their studies, and lots to do as you would expect. We have a student representative council that are independent of the university. They represent the student voice at a senior level at the university. We have not one but two student unions at Glasgow, so clubs and societies for everyone, on top of the Turkish society that I already talked about. Sort of bizarre ones, there's a beekeeping society, there's a bad movie society where students kind of meet up and watch rubbish films, to more conventional societies around individual subjects, a student award-winning student television channel, radio and newspaper. So over 200 different clubs and societies that students can enjoy. And, I think Glasgow's famed for having a really active student body. It's a compact campus in a wonderful, friendly city. So, I think your students will find it, pretty easy to settle in and to make friends and to become really active. Quite a political student body as well. Glasgow will be hosting the COP26 kind of summit later this year, hopefully. So lots of kind of sustainability, environmental issues, green issues are very high up on our kind of students' agenda at the moment, as they well should be. So lots for students to kind of get active and involved in campus. And then the usual sports stuff that you would expect: swimming pools, fantastic gyms, exercise facilities. We have a new gym that was just completed a few years ago that actually has a kind of cafe and bar at the bottom. So that's always a very Scottish thing, that you finish your workout and then have some, deep fried food and alcohol if you're that way inclined. Final couple of slides from me, I promise. Accommodation. So just to highlight to your students that we guarantee a place in university managed accommodation, provided they apply by the deadline, which is August each year. Students can apply with either a conditional or unconditional offer, provided they've accepted that offer. Again, options vary, prices vary depending on the facilities. So we have ensuite rooms where students will have their own toilet and shower facilities. Students will always have their own room. We don't have dormitories at Glasgow. We have one catered residence, which is at our vet school, which is our Glasgow campus, which is about 20 minutes from the main campus that you can see behind me. The rest of them are all self-catered, so students will have their own kitchen that they might share with a few other students. So a sliding scale of cost, but I would say on average you're probably looking at about £500 to £550 per month. And again, trained staff, senior students based within each of the residences, very safe, very close to campus. But I've put the link there to the accommodation website for any of your students who maybe find out more. There's videos of each of the residences. There's information on how we've been supporting our students who have been in residences during the pandemic, information on the social events and things that take place. So a lot more information on the website for anyone who wants it. I've kind of talked about this already, but just to highlight, we also have a kind of doctor's surgery on campus, support for English language support if students need a chaplaincy service for students of all faiths or no faith. So again, just really reiterating that support that we have for students. In terms of getting here, there's a direct Turkish Airlines flight from Edinburgh Airport to Istanbul and vice versa. That's normally how I would get to Turkey when I'm visiting, but equally, transfers in London, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, the usual places. But that direct flight from Edinburgh to Istanbul is probably the easiest and the one that most of our Turkish students use. Then when you arrive in Edinburgh Airport, it's around 1 hour from there to Glasgow, and there's a bus that leaves directly from outside the terminal at Edinburgh Airport that goes straight to Buchanan bus station in Glasgow city centre, and then from there campus is about 15 minutes away in a taxi or by underground. So a relatively straightforward journey to get door to door. And also just to highlight that at the beginning of term, we offer airport pickups for students that are arriving. So we have a presence at the airport. It's in Edinburgh and Glasgow, and we transfer students there to our residences or to campus if they're not staying in university accommodation. So again, just that support is available at the beginning of term ahead of orientation week, where we have tours of campus, lots of social events for international students, welcome events, and a good chance for your students to settle in and to make new friends. Obviously, due to the current circumstances, we're still not able to welcome, big open days on campus and welcome students to visit. But like most other universities, we are offering some virtual open days. So if you are happy to share these with your students, for anyone who might be interested, we have one coming up on the 15th of June, so in a few weeks, and then we have another one on the 1st of September. It's not the same as visiting our wonderful campus. However, we're trying our best to kind of make it as interactive as possible. There'll be virtual tours, there will be chance to speak to academics about the programme, chance to speak to current students. So the link there has kind of more information for your students on how to sign up or how to find out more. And lastly, for me, I also just wanted to highlight that we also have the kind of uni buddy scheme that lots of universities are now using, and a chance for students to speak to current students or members of staff such as myself and Scott. So students can filter by level of study, so they can speak to other undergraduate students. They can filter by programme, so they can speak to students that are studying the subject they're interested in. And we also have a couple of Turkish students on there as well, so if they wanted to speak to a Turkish student studying at Glasgow, they can do. We don't tell these students what to say. We provide them with some basic training, but a really good chance for students to get that kind of peer-to-peer honest opinion on what is Glasgow like as a city, what is the university like, how is the programme taught, all of these important questions that that sometimes I can't answer or academic staff can't answer. So just to highlight again that is something that students can take advantage of if they want. So thank you all very much for listening. I appreciate that was quite a lot of information that I fired at you in quite a short period of time, but hopefully for those of you that aren't overly familiar with Glasgow, hopefully it's maybe given you a bit more of an understanding of kind of who we are and the type of university that we are and the offering that we have and what your students can expect. So I've left my contact email address up there on the website, so please do feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions. I'm also happy to take any questions now. If anyone has any, I'll try my best to answer them. But beyond that, I would just like to say thank you very much for listening. Thanks for coming today. It was really nice to see so many of you here. And of course, once we are able to travel again, I'm very much looking forward to getting back to Turkey. And if you would be happy to kind of welcome me to your school, I would be more than happy to come for a visit. Also, finally, and then I promise I will stop talking, I also just want to say on that front that we often do quite a lot of collaborative activity as Scottish universities or with other UK universities. So just to highlight that I'm always happy to kind of team up and come and visit with some of my peers. I've done that before with Nottingham and with Warwick and some other universities. Equally often we travel as under the banner of study in Scotland. So rather than just having one university coming to talk about themselves, just to highlight, I would be more than happy to kind of, we could come as a group and talk about something maybe about personal statements or about studying in Scotland or about the Russell Group or whatever might be of interest to you and your students. So just to highlight that once I'm able to get back to Turkey, I'd be more than happy to do that. So thank you all once again for your time and happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mark. That was very comprehensive and very useful. I actually heard of these two associations first time ever. Association of Turkish Alumni and Students in Scotland. That's interesting. And GU Turkish Society.
Yeah. So the GU Turkish Society is a student-led one. So that's our current Turkish students that have kind of set up that society, and I guess there are some PhD students involved that are here for 3 years. There are some undergraduate students that would be with us for 4 years. So yeah, no, I mean, I think it's something that often parents, I think, are kind of quite keen to know. I think it's interesting. I often get one of two reactions when I tell students about it. They either think, great, that's good to know that there's a kind of community and network of Turkish students that are there that I can get to know. Or the second reaction is often, well, I'm coming to the UK to study, to meet students from other parts of the world, and if I wanted to hang around with students from Turkey, then I would stay in Izmir or I would stay in Ankara. So that's often the kind of one of two reactions that I get. But I think it's important to know, that they're a really nice bunch of students. I've done quite a lot of work with them, and if students want to kind of go to their social events and things, we also work quite closely with the University of Strathclyde, one of the other Glasgow University, so that it's a kind of, their students often meet up with ours and do kind of larger scale events and things as well. So yeah, I think it's good for students to know. And then the ATAS one, really good. I think mainly perhaps postgraduate students have made more use of that, but I think that's pretty much every Scottish university, I think, is kind of part of that, and alumni are involved, so graduates that have now perhaps gone back to Turkey or that are maybe still in the UK, offering career advice, maybe advertising internship opportunities within their firms, kind of offering mentoring, really, also sharing their experiences of studying in Scotland. So yeah, I think that's a more formal network, and I think it's a really good thing, and it's a really active network as well that I think lots of students from across Scottish universities are involved in. So yeah, I think they're both really nice organic things that have just kind of happened, that are led by the students and by the former students, which I think is always really nice to see. And I think students are more likely to get more out of that when it's kind of peer-to-peer. Getting advice from former students, and I think they often, also provide advice to prospective students, so that want to know, and that's certainly something our Turkish society would be happy to do. I know they have a WhatsApp group, and I think previously they've been happy to reach out to students who are thinking about applying to Glasgow to answer any questions that they might have from a Turkish perspective. That this was a culture shock, or you can't get this here, so you might want to bring that with you, and things like that. So yeah, I think it's a good resource for students to take advantage of, absolutely.
I also would like to meet them. Maybe later on you connect us with them. That would be great.
Absolutely, Selma. Yeah, no, I think so. They're always keen to get involved in things. So yeah, for any alumni activity that we might be doing or anything, I'd be more than happy to link you, and I'm sure they'd be keen to be involved. So let's pick that one up. That sounds good.
That sounds good. Will be still our main contact for Turkey, or Scott will be getting on board as well?
It will continue to be me, Selma. So I'll probably continue to be the lead for Turkey. So I will be your first point of contact, and equally for the counsellors as well. So yeah, but no, Scott will probably have the chance to visit Turkey as well, which will be a good one. Where, it's kind of part of a I guess a kind of broadening out of the regions that we're doing here at Glasgow. So previously I only looked after kind of non-EU Europe and Central Asia. Now we're kind of broadening that out to looking at all of the EU countries as well. So Scott will probably be predominantly leading on the EU side of things. But yeah, no, he'll be, I'm sure, more than happy to help me out with trying to wrestle a trip to Istanbul off me at some point. So we can fight over that one, Scott, at some point in the future. But yeah, no, I'll continue to be the main point of contact, Semra. But nice for you all to get a chance to kind of meet Scott and put a face to a name as well, in case he's maybe out visiting at some point soon as well.
Thank you very much. Dear councillors, do we have any questions for Mark before we release him? No. Okay then, as said, I'll share everything with the councillors, all councillors network, so you might receive some questions afterwards.
Sure.
So then we can finish this session, basically. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Semra, and thanks to you all for attending.
I Scott, briefly. Then see you next time. Hopefully, we will have you back in Turkey soon, okay?
Yeah, hopefully in person. Absolutely, yeah. Well, take care. Take care, Semra, and everyone. Thanks for joining. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.